Welcome. I'm Bill Haney. Let's have a conversation. Our guest today is a person who I expect will agree with me that this part of Michigan is for the birds. In fact, as we'll discuss with Daryl Bernard, our Executive Director of Seven Ponds Nature Center, we're living in a very popular and important area for more than 200 species of nesting birds. Not only that, we're visited spring and fall by a couple hundred more species of migrating birds that stop over in their seasonal travels to rest and get nourishment in our backyards and our nature preserves. And not only birds, of course, take up residence in Oakland County and the surrounding counties. All manner of wildlife teem in our hundreds of lakes, thousands of ponds, miles of streams and rivers, and our many thousands of acres of marshes, fields, and woodlands. Protecting and conserving the natural resources our forebears left us is an absolutely essential job if we're to leave our children and our grandchildren this bounty of natural places, and if we're to leave them in as good or better shape as when they were bequeathed to us by previous generations. These natural places are truly a priceless resource, but their welfare is in the hands of a surprisingly small cadre of professionals and volunteers who manage our parks and our nature centers. Here in Oakland County, we are fortunate to have a number of these places within a few miles of us. And just a few minutes further away, we have some true natural treasures, like Seven Ponds Nature Center near Dryden, just minutes east of Metamora. Full disclosure, I was unaware of just how special the Seven Ponds Preserve is until a year or so ago. Then I got addicted to those waters and woods, and I recently went onto the center's board. But there is still much I have to learn. And we have just the guest to take us on a talking, if not a walking tour of Seven Ponds. That's our guest, Daryl Bernard, Executive Director of Seven Ponds Nature Center. Daryl, thanks for taking time to come indoors, which I know is unusual for you, to have a conversation with us about your very special nature center just a short drive away.
You bet. Seven Ponds Nature Center serves many communities in the area in many ways, but I really feel like the most important role that we serve is connecting kids and adults to the outdoors and to nature. At this time, kids are more removed from the natural world than they've been in any generation previous. Kids are more urban and suburban and online and indoors than ever before, and fewer kids are introduced to the outdoors through hunting and fishing and camping as generations past. And parents, for their part, are much more reluctant to turn their kids loose in the outdoors to explore and learn, and as we did when we were growing up. So I feel that nature centers are key because they really have the opportunity to bridge that gap between kids and the outdoors.
How long has the center been in operation?
Seven Ponds Nature Center was formed in 1967, so last year we celebrated our 50th anniversary, and it's a fantastic place, about 470 acres of woods and ponds and marshes and fields and grassland, and it's available to a wide range of people who want to come out and enjoy that kind of environment.
You must have a pretty good sized staff to operate it all.
Actually, our staff is just 9 individuals, 6 full-time, 2 seasonal, and 1 part-time. So we do a lot of things with a very small staff.
But you have an active membership, I imagine.
We do. We have just over 1,000 members and a number of other people that come out and enjoy the Nature Center that are not members.
Mm-hmm. And you get visitors, I know you get from all around, because here I am from Oakland County, and it's a very easy drive up there, and I'm sure that's the case. You draw from the surrounding counties.
We do. We're located in southern Lapeer County, but that puts us in an easy range of several counties, and people come from a very wide geographic range to enjoy what we have at Seven Ponds.
Mm-hmm. But it's a different sort of a nature center in the way that it's managed and funded than most of the ones I'm familiar with.
Yeah, many nature centers are affiliated with local government agencies, county and township parks, the metro parks, the DNR state parks, and so forth. But Seven Ponds is one of a few nonprofit private enterprises, and we receive no funding whatsoever from any taxpayer dollars. So all of the funding that we receive comes from our membership, from program fees, donations, community foundation grants, local service organizations, and so forth.
And that makes you unusual then in the realm of nature centers. I don't know of too many others that can be funded and operated with that kind of a model.
It's challenging on one hand because we're constantly searching for the dollars to do the work that we do, but at the same time, it allows us the autonomy to make decisions free of any oversight by government agencies and people who don't quite understand our mission.
How did you get into this yourself? Have you been active in this kind of a work before, or is this new?
Well, I grew up in exploring the fields and the ponds and the woods behind my house in Saginaw County, a very rural part of the county. And so I was very connected with nature from a very early age, catching frogs and snakes and crayfish and so forth. And as I grew up, I realized that's really what I wanted to go into. So I pursued a degree in biology and achieved that, but I took a different path and ended up becoming a middle school science teacher for 18 years.
Oh, that seems like a good foundation for what you're doing.
I truly enjoyed being in the classroom, but after 18 years I realized there was something missing and I wanted to pursue something else, and I found my way to Seven Ponds, and I've been the director there now for just over a year, and it's been a very rewarding and quite a big learning process for me.
I imagine it's exhausting. It seems to me it's anything but a 9-to-5 job.
It is not a 9-to-5 job, although I'm in the office at the center every day of the week from basically 8:30 to 5. I'm really on duty at all times. You know, I'm never not the director of Seven Ponds Nature Center. So at any given time I receive phone calls and there's issues and small little fires and things to put out and issues I have to contend with. And I'm always thinking about the budget, and every time I take a walk on the property I think about all the things that need to be done and where's the money going to come from and how are we going to get this done and what's the priority. So it never really ends.
Yeah. Well, but you do manage to get away a bit, I know, because some of the guided treks and tours that you take have long been a staple of Seven Ponds even before you got there.
The previous director, Mike Champagne, began the field tour program where Seven Ponds naturalists and staff would lead a small group of people to very special places around the country to enjoy the natural history features, the geology, the flora, the fauna, and in some cases the birds of various areas around the country. So when Mike moved on to retirement and I took over, that was one of the programs I wanted to continue. Our naturalists lead tours to wonderful places and share all kinds of the natural features with the participants. And I've led now 2 field tours to various places in the U.S. Last summer I took my first field tour out to Colorado, and we had a fantastic time. And then in January we had our Texas field tour, where we went down to the lower Rio Grande Valley and birded that area for about 8 days and just had a wonderful time.
That's a exciting thing to do. I know I was interested in making one of those tours and trips, and only to find out that they got subscribed the minute they became available.
Well, space is limited, and the Texas tour filled to capacity. We took 10 people in 15 minutes. We started registration at 9 o'clock in the morning, and by 9:15 the tour was filled. So that was very exciting. We have a trip coming up to Monterey, California in September, and registration for that took place last month, and that tour filled in 5 minutes.
Wow, amazing. Now, are there groups of people that have come regularly to Seven Ponds? Are there Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, different groups?
Absolutely. We have a number of different environmental education programs that we offer for youths, family, adults, and some of those are school groups that come out and spend a couple hours at Seven Ponds. We have scout groups that come out and do some of their scout work and earn their badges at Seven Ponds. We have programs for homeschool children. We have weekend programs that people can just drop in and enjoy with our naturalists. We have all kinds of environmental education programs. We have a summer camp, Camp Seven Ponds, where kids can come out for a full week and enjoy all kinds of outdoor activities and really have a good time during the summer outdoors.
It would seem that this is a particularly interesting transitional time from the winter to now the birds and returning, and other animals are much more obvious and easy to sight, I imagine.
Absolutely. This spring is for birders. Spring is the season that they look forward to all year long, and as well as other wildlife enthusiasts. The spring wildflowers will be coming out shortly at Seven Ponds. We have several mammals emerging from their winter slumber. The woodchucks are back, so that's always fun. But for birders in particular, spring is quite the season. It starts with March and the waterfowl coming back in large numbers, gathering on the ponds and on the lakes and rivers and so forth in the area. And then in April, we see mostly a really big influx in raptors, huge numbers of broad-winged hawks flying over, especially at hawk watch sites like Mackinac City Hawk Watch or Whitefish Point Hawk Watch. And then in May, it really hits with the neotropical migrants, those birds that spend their winter down in, say, the Bahamas or Mexico, Central America, and even South America. They begin moving through in May, and the trees are just bursting with color and song.
Have you noticed a change over the years in people's interests, or are they pretty much predictable from year to year that what folks are coming out to see?
It seems to me that people are finding a need for getting outdoors and seeing and being part of that. And I think that in your Clarkston Backyard bird watching program that you're a part of, you see that. People just really want to connect with nature and the outdoors. As we become more indoors and more removed from it, we yearn for that contact again. And so birds are a natural portal to that outdoor world because they're so visible and so vibrant and so active, and they're readily available all year long. So people really enjoy, I think, that. And yeah, I think I have seen that happen over the last few years. There seems to be a growing interest among many people to reconnect with that.
Well, you did speak at one of the first meetings of that Clarkston Area Backyard Birders Club that I am a member of. And since then, it's grown from 30 people to 65, I think we have now.
Fantastic.
We had a session last night, and you're right, there was considerable interest in people reporting sightings, and I was able to offer something that was special to us. We have nesting trumpeter swans and sandhill cranes, and I saw a bird fly over when I was looking out the window, and I thought it was one of those. It was a big bird, and it landed in a tree on the other side of our little lake, and it was a bald eagle. And then we looked again, and there was a second bald eagle in that tree. So those are exciting things for birders, and I think you don't have to be a passionate birder to appreciate nature. And I would imagine you get people coming out to Seven Ponds who aren't folks that are keeping a day list or a life list of birds, but still can appreciate and enjoy what you've got there.
Absolutely. We have the full gamut of wildlife enthusiasts, from those who are very passionate about it and, like you say, keep lists of every bird they see everywhere they go, to those who are just hoping to see something different, something colorful. We've had a lot of pileated woodpeckers hanging out at the Nature Center, and we posted that on our Facebook page, and people came out because many people had never seen a pileated woodpecker before, and up close, that's a very impressive bird. And so I think that nature is the draw. When people see something like a sandhill crane, or they hear it bugling in the distance, they can't help but be impressed with something like that, or a sky full of tundra swans. Those are impressive sights.
Both of those were mentioned last night. One of our members has a stand of maple trees, sugar bush he calls it, and we do maple syrup there. As you know, you gather 40 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of syrup if you're lucky. And a pileated woodpecker flew over the head of the person who was doing the cooking and actually startled him. I mean, first he said it was like a prehistoric monster, like a pterodactyl.
Sure.
And then another chimed in that she had just seen a flight from way, way up high of several hundred tundra swans, probably heading up toward Mackinac.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's exciting, and these birds are there. When we grew up, some of us, we knew a robin from a sparrow, from a cardinal maybe, or a blue jay, and that was about it. But to find out that there are many different kinds of sparrows and very many different beautiful warblers, and you never really can master it. There are a few professional birders that can tell a bird by its sound or its flight and just in an instant. But it's been an exciting thing, and it's a wonderful thing to introduce the next generations to.
It sure is, and as far as challenge goes of mastering the knowledge of the outdoors, it is never ending. And that's one of the things that keeps it fresh and interesting, is that you no matter what you're interested in, wildflowers or trees or herpetology with reptiles and amphibians or birds or what have you, stars, there's always so much more to learn. And that quest for learning more and taking on those challenges is what keeps it really interesting and special.
Well, you have a butterfly arena, or I don't know what you call it.
A butterfly garden.
Garden, yeah, which is incredible, and that was started by one of your members a number of years ago.
Volunteers, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Seven Ponds is really the backbone of Seven Ponds are our volunteer force. We have hundreds of people that volunteer at Seven Ponds in various capacities throughout any given year. And our butterfly garden is maintained strictly by volunteers, and they come out once the season begins. They come out once a week, and they're working out there all day long, and it's a wonderful place to go and just sit in serenity. And I think that's another thing that people get out of enjoying the outdoors, is it's a peaceful retreat. That's one of the missions of Seven Ponds, is to maintain our property, our lands, as a peaceful retreat for our visitors. And in this hectic world where we're constantly bombarded by news media and social media and the hurried pace of everyday life, a place where you can go and really relax and enjoy and turn the phone off is I think a welcome retreat for a lot of people.
And it ties in with other interests and hobbies that people have. For example, I know you have a camera group and an astronomy club.
We do.
Which surprised me to learn that, but it makes sense.
Absolutely. We have our camera club is a strong club. There's a lot of members there. With the advent of digital photography, more and more people have access to quality equipment and the ability to take good pictures, but they're always looking for tips and advice and all the nuances of that activity. So our camera club is a great place for them. Our astronomy club has been around since at least the 1980s, and they go out and do stargazing and educational outreach programs on behalf of Seven Ponds, but also they just enjoy going out and watching the night sky. We have a beekeeping club that's extremely strong, and we do maintain a few hives at Seven Ponds for educational purposes, that the beekeepers will teach beginning beekeepers at those hives. But our beekeeping club is a huge club, and they meet once a month and have all kinds of programs and things that people can get involved in.
So how many of a program?
And those are open to anybody. All those clubs are available, and if you go to our website at sevenponds.org, and that 7 is spelled out, sevenponds.org, there's information about our clubs and our full calendar of all of our activities and so forth, and we certainly welcome anybody to come out to Seven Ponds.
I know the photography is, it's so easy now with cell phones, and many of us had lugged around a couple of cameras, as I did for years, and was rather suspicious of the photography by cell phone. But it's so easy and so convenient, and the pictures come out well. I know some of the ones that we've probably seen here this evening are ones that you yourself took.
Actually, every picture that's going to be shown along with this program was taken by myself with my cell phone. So I'm not a photographer. I don't own any camera besides the one that's on my smartphone, but it goes with me everywhere I go, and it's really a handy tool when I come across some fungus or a wildflower or a butterfly or something like that. It's nice to capture that moment. If it's something I'm not familiar with what it is, I can look that up when I get home, and if I can't find it, I can always go to one of our naturalists at Seven Ponds. They're experts, and they always help me out when I can't figure out what something is.
It's a good idea, especially with fungi, because there are poisonous ones, and a lot of people are not aware of how you test for them.
Sure.
I had done a book years ago on mushrooms of Michigan, and it's another item. In fact, I must say I should go out to Seven Ponds in May, because I imagine morels are out there as they are elsewhere in the state.
Sure, but here's one thing, Bill. Seven Ponds, being a nature center and wanting to be there for everybody, there is no collecting permitted at Seven Ponds. So if you find them around Seven Ponds,
but leave them there.
Enjoy looking at them, but don't you dare pick it and take it home and saute it.
That's always a good idea, anyhow. In fact, Alexander Smith, who was the author of the famous Mushroom Hunter's Field Guide, used to say that never eat a mushroom you don't know personally. So good advice. Well, you've given us a lot of good advice, and Seven Ponds is a real treasure, and I'm delighted that you and your small but mighty staff are helping preserve that, so that people from this township and the whole county can avail themselves of it. There are also other good nature centers nearby, and I would encourage people to go. It's infectious.
It is, and I strongly encourage people to support their local nature center. And if they've never been to Seven Ponds, come on up. We're open to the public Tuesday through Sunday, and our membership can access the grounds 365 days a year, dawn till dusk. So I certainly recommend that anybody who's curious about it, we're not that far from here, and they can certainly come up and enjoy a walk on our trails.
I can attest to that. Daryl, thanks very much for being here.
Thank you, Bill.
And thank you for tuning in to another session of Conversations with Bill.